All right, so currently we're in the thick of busy season and the weddings are starting to blend together a little bit. Now, whether your brain is overtaxed or underwhelmed, this is exactly the time of year when we start to see easy mistakes happen. Like not turning your lav mic on before you place it on the groom, or forgetting to switch back to autofocus before you start couples portraits. Most of the time, silly mistakes like this are totally avoidable. Here's how. For starters, it's always important to have all your equipment charged, formatted, and cleaned before the wedding. That seems like a no-brainer, but people forget. Personally, I keep my wedding kit in a specific case all by itself, and I try not to swap out equipment. That way, all I have to worry about is charging batteries and formatting cards, and everything else should still be in there from the last wedding. There's a link to my full equipment list in the description below. Just try to remember to check everything off your list before you leave the house for the wedding. Okay, so back to my healthy paranoia. I've filmed hundreds of weddings. Nothing really surprises me anymore, but I like to pretend that it still can. I like to check in and question myself constantly on wedding days. Questions as simple as, am I sure I'm recording right now? Is my white balance correct? Where is my lens focused? I know, you're saying this is dumb, I already know all this stuff, and of course you do. But the question is, how often are you consciously thinking about these things? Some mistakes are so simple, so avoidable, that they can slip right past you when you're distracted or tired from the busy season. It's actually more common with veterans than the rookies. Was that gimbal move smooth or should I reshoot it? Did I remember to hit record on the audio before the toast started? What's the ugliest thing in this frame and how can I eliminate it? It's really easy to get a cluttered brain on busy wedding days, especially if you're filming back-to-back-to-back weddings. But it's important that we nail the basics. So I think it's healthy to constantly question yourself, to a degree. Can I see my reflection in that window? I wonder if I should turn off these overhead lights. Is this shot any better than what someone could have gotten with their phone? Yeah, taking time to consider these things might slow you down a bit in the beginning, but you'll definitely get faster and your footage will improve dramatically. Technical errors are some of the easiest ones to avoid. I hear things like, oh yeah, my last client didn't want me to shoot in log and I forgot to switch over before the wedding. Or, I thought I was shooting in 60, what do you mean I filmed the whole thing in 24? Look, I know it can be tricky when you're filming lots of different projects and they all call for different recording specs. One way to be sure is to pre-program your camera so that it's really easy to reset. I personally have my camera set up so that each of the custom functions on the dial are set to different recording rates. So with a quick twist, I can switch between 4K 24, 4K 60, and 4K 120p. They're all set to film in S-Log3, 10-bit, H.265. The shutter speeds are all set to be twice the frame rate. Sound is set to auto level. White balance is at 5500K. You get it. So before I start a new wedding, I turn the camera on and twist the dial to reset my settings. Within like 15 seconds, I know all my cameras match, and I don't have to get into the weeds checking every detail in the menu. My suggestion is to set up your camera so that the custom slots on the dial are programmed to the settings you most commonly need. I try to get easy wins with audio as well. All my sound devices record in 32-bit float. 32-bit float has a super wide dynamic range, and that means I don't have to worry too much about the levels when I hit record. It's not flawless, but it's as close to a magic bullet as we have for audio. Pretty much as long as I remember to hit record and the batteries don't die, I'm going to have a usable signal out of that recorder. With my Rode Wireless Pro lavs, I've got them set so that they start recording as soon as I pull them out of the case. They record locally in 32-bit, and they transmit a signal to my A-cam that I can monitor for the whole ceremony. Boom. For scratch sound to sync up in post, I've got 2 shotgun mics with windscreens that pull power straight from the camera so they don't even need batteries. For the reception, I always plug my audio recorder into the speaker before it even gets started, and I just let it run all night until I'm cut. That way, I know I got a clean recording for grand entrance, toasts, and any surprise announcements that might pop up. As a bonus, I'll place one of my Rode lav packs on the sweetheart table during toast to get couples reactions, but honestly, I don't even think we ever use that. Okay, so back to the paranoia. One of the most common questions I ask myself is, what is the point of this shot? I know, that one's funny, but it triggers other questions like, how does this shot fit into the story? What else does the viewer need to see? Is this the most important thing I should be doing right now? When you're filming solo, that last question is super important. It saves you from wasting time when you could be getting ready for your next responsibility. For example, what's more important, doing one more clip of the couple walking together after the first look, or running over to the ceremony site and doing a sound check with the DJ? Honestly, the answer could go either way depending on how the wedding's going. A few extra questions here and there have not only helped me avoid the tiny mistakes, but also a few massive failures. I know you're all professionals and you know how to film a wedding. So just consider this your yearly reminder not to fall asleep out there. Remember, this might be your third wedding this week, but it's hopefully the only wedding our couples are ever going to have. We owe it to them to produce the best product we can. Have a great week, and I'll be in touch soon with more tips for your next wedding.